All right, the saga to continue to work through this giant glass hall continues, and today's episode is about rods. So I had, as you might recall, there was two large containers of rods, and I mean a bajillion rods, and everything is filthy, and I've been working through everything to try to clean it and put it away. And what I'm left with after addressing all the colors, and most of the stuff was marked. I don't know that there were any questions for me, but there are some clear rods that were in there. This guy did flame working, and he had both bullseye rods, and then he also had other glass like 104. And I think he did a fairly good job of keeping his stuff separated and relatively well marked. So I am fairly confident that these rods are bullseye clear. Now they could be crystal clear. I'm assuming just regular clear. They were not. These were not marked. Clear was not marked. Here's what I'm talking about in terms of cleaning them up. Almost all of the rods, maybe not all of them, have this nasty, let's see if you can see that. I don't even know what it is. It's just stuck on there, crusty. I'm thinking it may be masking tape that was taped around some bundles that he purchased. And then because it sat out in his Texas outdoor storage unit, it melted and got crusty and gross, and then got cold and then melted again after years and years. So because here are the containers that his rods were in, and they're marked 2002. So 23 years old, 23 years of heat on tape. I'm trying to tell myself that's tape and not something more gross. Okay, anyway, so and one of these you can see he had even started to work something here. So I'm relatively confident these are bullseye, but I need to test them. What's interesting is that I also ended up with this gigantic log of clear rods. And of course they're not marked. Look how many rods are in there. I mean, I didn't weigh this, but I mean, it's got to be 20 pounds or more. And what's interesting is these are 30 inches long. So today, now again, this could have been purchased, almost 25 years ago, but today Bullseye sells rods in 18-inch lengths. Now that's online. I've never been to a Bullseye store. So if you're watching this and you're familiar, or you're a Bullseye historian and you know what this is, maybe they sell them longer in their stores, but this is just online. They're 18 inches and these are 30. So I want to run a test of these. I'm going to fire this just for compatibility. I'm going to fire it against some clear Tecta. I'm going to fire one or two of these against clear Tecta. I'm sure it's all from the same stuff. Again, this guy kept his stuff fairly well separated. And then the other thing I want to do is fire these. So this box is marked with the same date, and it says bullseye checked. So 11/22 of 02. And so just one quick note is that it would be really nice to mark your stuff for future generations if you're not going to be around, because it's nice to have this marked. Now, this was a different box. See that? I don't know how to use Morelli. So, but it's crossed out and now it's marked bullseye. And then check out what's inside. These are giant, thick glass rods, and they had been flame worked a little bit too. Now they're in bundles of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or so, and they're coded 109, but that's not a bullseye code here, 40109. And so, and there's several bundles of these. This one had been opened up, but check these out. And so I'm going to take a chunk of this and full fuse it against some Tecta and test it for compatibility. It says bullseye checked, but I'm going to test it anyway. But there are several bundles in here, along with some mouse poop. That's actually, I'm not even sure it's mouse. That's kind of big. So I'm gonna do a little testing of this too. So I'm gonna fire these, and these are let's see here. I did a diameter check of these using my handy dandy digital calipers, and these were almost 10 millimeters, I believe. let me pull one of these out. I can't do this one-handed. Pull these out and see. Yeah, 9.9 millimeters. In the catalog and online today, they are anywhere between 7 and 9 millimeters. But again, this was, you know, perhaps almost 25 years ago. So I'm going to take a chunk of that and also test that and see what I get. So stay tuned. I'm going to fire these in the kiln, and then we'll test it with polarized filters and see if everything seems compatible. All right, I don't know if this is going to stay. This was a silver Sharpie, so this might burn off, but this was one of the big 10 millimeter chunks from the box. This was one of the rods from the jar. This is another one of the rods from the jar. This is the rod that had this little blob attached to the end of it, and I decided just to clip that off, and I'm just going to fire that. And then this was a little sample off of the large bundle of 30-inch pieces. So let's see how this fires, and we'll check it with some polarized filters after it comes out of the kiln. All right, so I've got the piece out of the kiln and nothing is cracked. Everything looks good. I also have this old school hotline stressometer. And so this is basically nothing more than a flashlight, but it has a polarized filter in here, a polarized lens, piece of lens. And then what you can do is, let's see, make sure that you can see this. There's another piece of lens right here, and you put that over this. I gotta look to see. So when you turn it, I'm gonna do it without the glass first. You can see the light, but see, as you turn this, it gets darker, and see how that blocks the light then? And so I don't know the science behind what we're looking for, but what we're looking for is to see if there's any stress in the glass. So this is a piece that I made as a test, which is Tecta, and then this is float glass on top. These are clearly not compatible. And when you have, again, the lens straight on, you don't see anything, but when you turn it, look how you see that glow coming out, that like starburst? That's stress within the glass. In fact, I can turn the glass, look, the whole thing almost glows. So there's a lot of stress in this glass that shows incompatibility. Now, here's the piece that I use. So here's that big 10 millimeter chunk. And no matter how I turn this, it is nice and clear. There are some dots. Again, you can turn the lens, you can turn the glass. There is no stress in any of the pieces that I fired off of the cane. So all of that tells me that that was compatible and bullseye glass, just as I expected it to be. So that's really good result. Now, this is old school. This is an old model. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. Hotline stressometer. And it works and it's effective. It's also a little small format. So here's the other way to do this. You may have seen me showing this before. These are available in my Amazon store. You can buy just any old LED light table. And so I'm popping the light up, and there are other ways to do this as well. I think you could even do this on an iPad, but there's an LED light table, which is super cheap, that I get on Amazon. There are some polarized sheets also available on Amazon that are fairly large. And so what I can do is now put the whole thing over here. And again, with a sheet on top, you don't see any stress, but watch as I turn that. There you go. It's kind of bright in here with my lights. Whoops, and then I turned it off. But I'm trying to hold that up for you. Look at all the stress in the one piece of glass and no stress in the other. So easy way to tell that this was compatible. And this is larger format and just a little easier for me. Light boards are available on Amazon. Large polarized sheets are available on Amazon. But there you go, pretty cut and dry.